This evening, I spoke with Congressman Mike Quigley, a Democrat who serves on the Intelligence Committee. I began by asking Quigley if he thought the public learned anything new from today's hearing with the acting director of National Intelligence.
Well, I think the first thing they learned is that he broke the law in not letting the whistleblower's report go directly to Congress. I'd like to think they learned that maybe it wasn't his fault, that he felt pressure from the Department of Justice and the White House.
And as I understand, he said that no one explicitly from the White House or the Department of Justice told him to withhold the complaint.
Yeah, but they also wrote a legal opinion which is contrary to the law. The DNI is obviously not an attorney. He's a man with an extraordinary military record. And I think if you were there, you just get the sense that he believes in the chain of command. I think that superseded the law and, frankly, what was the right thing to do.
What concerns you the most about the whistleblower complaint that was made public this morning?
It's hard to narrow that, but I'll try. The President of the United States asked a foreign power to investigate his principal political ally, and he enlisted the help of the Department of Justice, and then he tried to cover it up.
And what about the significance of allegations that some presidential phone calls that aides found sensitive or controversial were then put into a classified system?
Well, I think that answers the question or the point that my Republican colleagues were saying. They're saying that this is, I guess, much ado about nothing or yet another hoax. If it was a nothing burger, then why did the White House lawyers seal this audio tape and hide it someplace else out of public view? And why did they move forward and write an opinion that violated the law, saying that the whistleblower couldn't come directly to Congress?
And will Congress or can Congress subpoena some of these other potential phone conversations now that are in question?
I think what's going to happen first is the whistleblower will come forward. I wouldn't be surprised if the Intelligence Committee that I serve on will be called back either next week or the week after. And I think, as the report details, there were several high officials who came to the whistleblower with this complaint. I also believe this president never does anything wrong just once. I believe there were a multitude of acts. People say to give me details on that. I'll just give you one. Why was the president so anxious to tear up the interpreter's notes after his meeting with Putin? There are many other instances, and frankly, what I think we're going to see is more whistleblowers coming forward.
You know, the case Republicans continue to make is that there still is no explicit quid pro quo outlined here. In essence, no explicit threat of withholding defense funding unless the Ukraine president pushes his prosecutors to investigate Joe Biden. What about that?
Yeah, let me just say, first of all, the President of the United States commits a crime when he asks a foreign power to help him on a political basis. There doesn't need to be a quid pro quo. Second, there was a quid pro quo. We have learned from the Office of Management of Budget that they halted the funds, the military assistance going to Ukraine. It wasn't released till this word got out. So the president was acting in a coercive fashion. And the only reason we found out is there was a courageous whistleblower who let us know. And today, to make matters worse, the president virtually threatened this whistleblower and any others, creating an extraordinary chilling effect on the process.